Hey everyone, today is Saturday, April 24th, and not today, this is DYNA side mission, mission 2. This is, mission 1. I am actively making this a two-parter because I recorded that just to test out the whole side mission show or idea, and we had some problems with this studio that we were renting, and so I'm like, ah, shit. So it's pretty much in place of episodes that we're not recording, but also I don't like doing whole DynCat episodes focused on one thing, which is why they're called side missions. So yeah, things are a little rough. We're in a transition period of our show. Hopefully, we can get things up and running on a regular, so I can just do this and get paid for it. That would be very nice, and I can pay my co-host, Mr. Michael Antonio.
Say what now?
Yeah. Oh, hi. I'm introducing you.
Oh, I was like, I just heard my name randomly in that sentence. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was trying to do a very cool and professional transition into introducing everyone.
Oh, I thought I didn't think I was that important. I thought Chris had more seniority over me. Not gonna lie.
Okay, all right. So, okay, Miss Tessa Davis.
What's up?
Hello.
What's up? Hi. Good morning.
And special guest with us here today, Mr. I don't even know your actual name. I just told you.
I'll give you a hint. It's in the Toku Chris part of the name. Yeah.
I know your name is Chris.
I'm good. And thanks for having me on. This will be fun.
Yeah. All right. Okay. This is I'm such a introvert and socially awkward person, so I'm forcing myself to host a show to better my social skills. So if I just seem weird and off-putting, you should see me on my first. I'm gonna put a link in the description to my first podcast I ever did. It was on AfterBuzz TV. I was doing internship there, and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be on the show today." I was like, "No, I'm not." Then I was, and that was fun. It was the DC TV show or something like that along those lines. I haven't watched that show in like forever. Like I was on it, and then I was just like, okay, bye everybody. But okay, here we go. Today we're gonna get super deep into. We're gonna sort of elaborate our thoughts and the conversation we had in part 1 on Power Rangers, and then dive more deeper into tokusatsu. So, starting with Chris, what is your history with Power Rangers and tokusatsu?
My history goes back, I think, like most people, obviously, in the United States, like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? I think that's where it starts for everybody. For me, I was a little bit older when that came out. I think I was like 12. My interest in
it
it
was around the same age.
My interest in it peaked because I'm a big Transformers guy, and around that time of the very early 90s, before like 94, Transformers was gone. There was nothing there. So what drew me to Power Rangers was the Megazords, the combining mechs, the robots and stuff like that. That's what really drew my interest into it. And then it's the joy of the 90s and early television. It kind of got its hooks in you. And while I was never a kid who went out and bought any of the toys or anything like that, because I was 11, 12 years old, you can't do that. You get ostracized in school pretty bad. Like a lot of closet fans, I guess, growing up as teenagers, I kind of kept tabs on it and so forth. And here we are now, some 30 years later, and we're still watching it, still talking about it. So it obviously had some impact.
Yeah. As for me, just to elaborate on my past from before, I'll make it a lot shorter this time. It started with Power Rangers. I was aware of tokusatsu in the background. I watched Godzilla and stuff growing up. But I didn't really know. I knew there was something wrong with the show because the footage would look different. I was like, what is that other show? I know there was something else there, but I can't tell. I was too young to know. Like, I knew, but I didn't know. But so it was around the time Power Rangers in Space was what, like 97?
Something like that, yeah.
Something, yeah. And this was what the Power Rangers Online Archives, if you remember that site on the internet. And then they put up this promo image of Ginga Man, and I was back then I called it Jinga Man when I was younger. I was like, what is this? And then that's how I discovered Super Sentai, and it was just a rabbit hole from there. I used to the internet was a thing, but it was very slow back in the day. So it would take 5-10 minutes just to watch a fight scene, you know, not even a full fight scene. And I used to order VHS tapes from Japan, and that's how I used to watch Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. And you know, I will order the VHS tapes. They'll record it off TV, and they'll send it to me, and I'll watch the hell out of it over and over and over. There are some episodes that come on Shout Factory. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this episode, because I've seen it 100 times. I'm just like, I can't watch this show. But that's pretty much a brief history of my history with Power Rangers and Tokusatsu. Getting to a more different perspective, someone who is more adjacent to the kaiju side. Michael over here seems distracted.
No, I'm listening. But my screens are like huge. That's why my eyes look like they're darting everywhere.
So what's your history with Power Rangers and Tokusatsu?
I'm assuming I was a bit younger than y'all because I had all the toys. But also I went to our art school, so I had all the toys. So like just the school itself was ostracized. But for me, Power Rangers, I'm a martial artist, so anything that was martial arts related, I just gravitated towards. So for me, it was Turtles and Power Rangers because it was two martial arts shows. And I was into it because it was like a live action martial arts show that came on at 4:30 after school. So it was like, I don't want to say I didn't have a childhood, but like it was just school, dance, martial arts, dance, go home, and then go to sleep, rinse and repeat every single day. But like when I had that little break to like do homework and stuff, I'd have like that Fox like animation, whatever it was called, the Fox Kid block, and Power Rangers came on. For me, it was 4:30. I don't know what it was for y'all. I'll never forget that. But my love for it, I think, catapulted when who Chris is wearing on his head, Tommy. Tommy. Yeah, he solidified the show for me. Like at first, I liked Jason. You know, everyone likes the leader. Most people like Leonardo. Most people like the Red Ranger. They like Blossom. You know, most people like the leader of the thing. And then Tommy came along, and I'm just like, yeah, I like him more. And then, like, you know, just
coolest. He came and just was like, because Jason was my favorite, and then Tommy showed up. I'm like, this motherfucker can move though.
Yeah, he had the cool little battle cry too.
Yeah, and then figuring out like who had the legitimate like martial arts background the most. Jason David Frank, I'm just like, and I even had his little VHS tape where it was like the Green Ranger Cotter was on there, and like at the time, I think I didn't transition because I started with karate in life and then transitioned to kung fu, and I think I didn't do kung fu yet, and then like right when I transitioned, that's when he came in, and I will never forget, I won my first trophy, which was third place, because of him. Because in karate it's called a ki, but in kung fu it's called a song. And I didn't have one yet. And then when he got introduced that, like, that was how I won. Because I did that in everything. And no one in Kung Fu, they don't ki as much. They don't do that. Like, it's like, huh, that's it. But in Kung Fu, doing that, like, all of that, people were like, oh, that's amazing. Oh, and then that's how I start. like winning stuff. And then after third, I just got first immediately, and it just, snowballed from there. And I kind of owe my confidence as a martial artist to that show, and specifically to Tommy, or Jason David Frank in real life, So yeah, I'm gonna end there because I'm gonna keep talking.
Oh yeah. So someone super new to tokusatsu, I saved her for last. Miss Tessa Davis. Go ahead and give us your history with Power Rangers and tokusatsu.
Yes, absolutely. So my history is about 24 hours old. So I'm super new into this. Obviously I think that Power Rangers, from what I've learned, it's over 25 years old. And so, growing up, I've heard of Power Rangers. But yeah, I never watched the show. So I feel like as an adult, I have a new appreciation for it because I see how cool it was. It would have been as a kid, to see these, martial, so something I watched yesterday, because I watched the movie for the first time yesterday, and I'm there's the first
movie?
1995, I think it was, the Mighty Morphin, or it's just called the Power Rangers? It's Power Rangers the movie. 1995, thank you. And the first, opening sequence is, these incredible, skydiving, I'm how are these teenagers doing all of this? This is incredible. There's no way. And I've never had the desire to skydive, but I was after watching that, I'm I need to book a skydiving event because I'm I want to do these things. And so I can see why it's such a phenomenon. So as an adult, I'm excited to learn more about it.
You know something? I didn't even think about it until you brought it up just now. That there are teenagers and they're skydiving. So they're minors and they didn't even have anyone on their back,
The person on the back, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because even if it's your first time, you got the pro on your back, you know what I mean? But they're just
right.
fuck it, Tommy got on his freaking skyboard.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They're 15, 16 years old and fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, they're having the best time of their life. And one of the things I did look up was the synopsis, and it starts off with energetic teenagers. And I just thought that was the funniest thing of and then as soon as they're done skydiving, they immediately go skating all through the city. They're rollerblading all through town. And I'm yes, they are energetic. These kids don't stop. So yeah.
And then after that, they went and fought monsters at night.
What did they say?
They don't sleep.
They don't.
That day was light.
Yeah, that was a light day, of course. Because then they go to space and stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So Power Rangers is actually part of a genre called tokusatsu. There is this, I don't know, Chris, if you've seen this floating around on Twitter, they were showing these animes. It's tell me how anime can be tokusatsu. And it's just bro, do you know what the definition of tokusatsu? So, tell me, sir, what is the definition of tokusatsu?
To be fair, people will take the definition and apply it in whatever way to win whatever argument they want to have. But essentially, tokusatsu is a hero that transforms, right, from a normal person into a superhero using some sort of device, and basically fights bad guys, whether they're rubber suited or not. Then you start kind of getting to the kaiju side of it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a hero that transforms into a superhero to fight bad guys, live action martial arts for the most part. But I mean, to your point, you can argue that Sailor Moon is tokusatsu and not necessarily be wrong. But
I guess
there's an asterisk there.
The more text,
the magical girl, they all.
The more textbook definition of tokusatsu is live action special effects filming. So
yeah.
It's basically the Japanese word for a science fiction movie. So I guess I understand where those people are coming from because the animation in America can be science fiction. and a live action movie can be science fiction. But the term tokusatsu applies to live action filming only. Only that. But then there are animations that are based on genres of tokusatsu. So there's kaiju, there's horror, there's henshin heroes, which is our favorite subject, and then there's science fiction in general, like Lost in Space, and then there's did I say kaiju? Anyway,
they came. Yes, you did.
Yes, so there's like Godzilla Singular Point. It's based on the tokusatsu Godzilla, and then there's the Kamen Rider Double anime that's coming out pretty soon, which is based on the live action version of Kamen Rider Double, and then there's like I said, our movies. I used to read. If anyone is familiar with the New Type anime magazine, I used to buy the New Type The Live. I had them, couldn't read them. I had stacks this high. I would just buy them. Our stuff was in there. There was Marvel movies in there. There's I remember seeing stuff on Smallville and New Type The Live. So our American shows are considered tokusatsu in Japan. So you was going to say something, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you take both your definitions, you pretty much just describe Iron Man. Because he's a live action special dude that transforms into a hero. And technically, since Iron Man 3, because he does introduce Wing Chun, that does live action martial arts. So Iron Man is the epitome of that in America, or at least the Robert Downey Jr. equivalent version. So, yeah.
Low-key, American superheroes are starting to transform. Like, you look at Moonlight and how a lot of, even Black Panther, how he just summons his suit. Like, the instant transformation. You know, there's no more... besides Robert Pattinson, he's the only one suiting up the old-fashioned way. He said, "Oh man, let me put my helmet
Spider-Man?
on." It's Peter Parker, just because he's Thor.
we saw him, like all of us. We saw him put his suit on. So yeah. So just I started watching tokusatsu, like I said. With VHS tapes and everything like that. And some of the first, and then when eBay came around, I bought the HK DVD. So that was how I first got to watch Kuga, Kamen Rider 5, Deca Ranger. That's how I started seeing all the shows all the way through. So that was how I got to start experiencing tokusatsu, the Japanese side of everything. How about you, Chris? When did you actually start watching tokusatsu?
I was in college, and my first Super Sentai that I decided to try to kind of get into was Deca Ranger. So I was trying to download on a college T1, really bad transcribed quality Deca Ranger episodes. Not even subbed, you just had to kind of guess what was going on. That was my first experience not having, dubbed or adapted into English, and then I kept track of it, but I was in and out of it. I mean, I'm a big Transformers guy. They kind of had a big movie come out in 2007, and everything kind of blew up really huge, and that's kind of where I was focused on. And then the movie stuff wasn't for me, and I kind of fell back into tokusatsu around 2010, 2011-ish. So for me, like, I dove deep, obviously, like everybody else, Super Sentai-wise, into like Gokaiger, and from Gokaiger onward. And then Kamen Rider, Forze, and then Forze was my first like deep dive into it, and then it just kind of took off from there.
I could tell by the shelves in your background.
I got some Kamen Rider there. There's Power Ranger stuff. It's over there. You can't see it, but.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I can recognize any of them.
I think I don't know. Those are mostly Transformers, there, huh?
Yeah, on this side here, you're gonna get mostly Transformers, and then this is like mirrored. So I'm kind of like trying to do this right. So like, there's a Kamen Rider helmet right up there. I'll just do this.
The one that looks like Shredder.
Yeah, that's Kamen Rider Zangetsu from Kamen Rider Gaim. So that's a cosplay helmet I had commissioned.
I see the Pink Ranger.
Yeah, there's a lightning figure I never opened.
We're just all in
Let's
this
see.
room.
Let me.
What's that over there?
Yeah, it's like a
So
Where's
you get-
Waldo. It's great.
Kind of see. Of course, my hats are in the way. Let me.
Is that Wolverine I see at the bottom?
Nice.
Yeah, I got some Marvel Legends stuff. This is the nerd room, so
This is incredible.
yeah.
I see Tommy.
That's
I see Tommy.
a lot of stuff, much to my wife's disappointment. But yes.
The one right above you, why does it look like Howard the Duck with a football jersey on?
Wait, what?
There's
I
one.
think you're talking about Skylinks.
It's like above his head, and
We're
it's
talking
like
about this one right here.
right there. Yeah, it looks like Howard the Duck with a football jersey.
Skylinks.
That's Skylinks.
Yeah.
That's a transformer that
Skylinks.
turns into a bird, a lynx, and a spaceship.
I was close. Bird.
Snap.
The
You're not far.
bougiest Transformers. All right, Mike.
So this is
history
30
with,
years of collecting, just so everyone knows too. It's not like I went out and bought
I
this
just
last
bought
week.
it yesterday.
Yeah, my stuff
your
is too spread
history
out.
with tokusatsu, Mike.
With who?
Michael.
Did you say me?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Your history
honestly-
with tokusatsu.
Honestly, I probably should have said this first. With the whole Power Ranger bit. Aside from being a martial artist, the thing that really got me into them was I saw the Guyver first.
Yes,
And
Mark Hamill.
from like the original
Oh, the OVA
baby cartoon.
Guyver!
Yeah. I saw that first, so to me it was a PG or a G version of Guyver. So I'm just like, oh, it's that, but just so it's like if you see 30 Days of Night and then see Twilight, and it's like, well, still vampires, just no blood, I guess. That's what it felt like watching Power Rangers. So I'm just like, cool. It's like every time they swing the Megazord sword, it's like no one's bleeding, it's just sparks. I guess I could deal with this. I mean, I'm 12, so I guess I don't know. But anyways,
You don't need to see that anyway.
man, I saw Freddy before I saw Bambi. But anyway, my first introduction to them was, I want to say, late 90s. There's this video store in New York that was called Mondo Video, and you can get like the stuff that you couldn't get in America. And the only reason I even discovered that it was like a different show, you know, like Power Rangers existing in Japan under a different like monolith. At that time, I was like deep into Godzilla because I was like old enough to realize, hey, there's more than just the two that I saw when I was a child. And this was the Hensai series.
What, 2000?
No, that's the Millennium one. The one from 89 and 95. So, like, pretty much Godzilla's Revenge, or, no, Godzilla vs. Biollante to the Godzilla vs. Destroyer. I was, like, hunting those. And as I was waiting for them to come in, like, to be shipped into the States, the guy in the store, he was like, do you like those kids that fight? And I said, what? And he said, you know, the little flippy kids. He's talking about Power Rangers. He didn't know what they were called. So he described them in a very loose way. And I'm like, I know there's an adult section in this store. Is he trying to introduce me to that for the first time? I'm like, I felt really weird. I'm like, is this what it's like right before kids get into, you know, situations? And then he was like, you know, the colorful ones. And I'm just like, the Ninja Turtles? And he's like, no, the other ones. And then he literally starts singing a song. I was like, oh, Power Rangers. It says Power Rangers in the song. How don't you know it's Power Rangers? So then he was like, no, the real one. And I'm just like, the real one? And then he shows me the tape, and then he was like, you don't have to pay for it, just take it. And then I'm just like, oh, this is a completely different show. And then when I saw that the fights were like literally ripped, I was just like, oh, dag, America's lazy. So, yeah, that was my
saving money.
Yeah, I was like... And then in college, when one of my boys was more into it than I was, showed me all of it, because at the time I had only literally seen one. And my boy in college introduced me like to different Japanese shows and movies I had never seen. So like Baki was introduced to me, which is like in my top 5 anime of all time. And he just showed me all the Japanese Power Rangers. And I'm just like, yeah, they lost me at Zeo, so I don't care. But thanks. So like, yeah, that was my introduction to them, like the OG versions.
So speaking,
yeah. And
speaking
honestly,
of,
oh, go ahead.
so you always disrupting my transitions. Go ahead. What did you say, man?
Oh, well, I was going to say that the reason it even came up in conversation, and it was just, this is a learning process for me. We were arguing over what came first, Voltron or Power Rangers. For like, in America, it was Voltron. But just in Earth, it was Power Rangers. But, you know, like the original Power Rangers. Because I never knew about the Japanese version being first. Like, I was like, no, Voltron was in the 80s, and he was like, Power Rangers was in the 70s. I was like, no, it wasn't. It was in 1993. And he was like, no, and then that's what made him.
Oh, I get the
yeah, and that's what made him introduce. I was like, oh, okay. And then my argument changed to, so the Power Rangers that mattered introduced in 93. Because I was like, realistically, we didn't know about them until 93. So I'm just like, so yeah. But that was just all jokes. I was like, you know, they mattered to somebody, so I would never say they don't matter.
Right.
Tessa,
you never had any experience watching Godzilla or Kaiju, Ultraman? Nothing like that? No?
No, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah, we'll just go right along to the next thing.
We're going to get into the deep stuff real soon.
I was gonna say the only thing I'm tripping out on though is I'm just imagining young Corey like how did you get these Japanese VHSs?
Oh, the internet. I don't even know how
but
I came
as a
across
kid,
it. Shin Godzilla. I'm gonna go steal that from you, Mike. Is that Monster Arts? Is that the Monster Arts one? Oh, it's this Rhino. I want the SH Monster Arts. I got a list of Godzillas I want. But anyway,
dude,
on the internet, I'll be all like, hey, mommy, can I play on the computer? You know what I mean? And then, you know, most kids be trying to dig up porn, but I was like, man, these Japanese Power Rangers, dude. You know? And I ran into these sites, don't even know how I came across them, and then and I sent them money, and I wish for the best.
Yeah, but how'd you send the money? Like, you sent cash in an envelope?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a money order. I think it was a money order, and then I think
I just can't get past this.
Yeah, I was a teenager at that time when I discovered, like high school.
Okay, fair enough.
So, you know, I did what I did with my money. I was a risky boy. I risked it all.
One could say you were a teen with attitude.
I was a. Let's not talk about teenage story. That he was a complicated fellow. But at some point in our lives, we all sort of lost interest in things that we used to love. I don't necessarily love Batman as strongly as I did when I was younger. I mean, Robert Pattinson changed that a little bit, but still, you know, other things are more a priority. Like, you know, finding a wife and getting married. You know, those are my priorities now because, you know, I'm getting old. But there was, I would say, I lost interest in Power Rangers around season 2. That's when things, you know, my boy Jason disappeared and he was just a body double, and then Rocky showed up. I'm like, who's this motherfucker? Get him out of here. You know, I didn't care for Rocky, Adam, or Aisha until like season 3, and that's when I felt like their characters, they became their own. But like season 2, I was just not having it. And that's when I jumped on VR Troopers, Bitbag Beetleborgs, Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, Mystic Knights of Tirlanog. I can keep going. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Yes.
I'm still mad. I can't get volume 1 of Superhuman Samurai. I have volume 2. I can't find volume 1 anywhere. But I watched anything that was like Power Rangers. I was watching it because I was just, my boy was gone, and I felt like, you know, like I lost my lover. And then the show was just not entertaining as it Lord Zed just look cool, but if you listen to the shit that comes out that motherfucker's mouth sometimes, I'm just like, bro, you're watching them. You can look inside, I'm watching you like peek into the command center. You can see everything they're doing, and you're still losing. What is your problem? That was my deal. People was like, Lord Zed is such a badass man. I love season 2. People love season 2 because of the fucking White Ranger. That's when I tuned back in. I was like, oh shit, Tommy's back, you know? But then there's a part of me that wish I would have seen Brad Hawkins become the White Ranger, because I love his voice. I just, you know, especially the VI trooper says, see ya! You know? And I didn't even know that was him as the Gold Ranger, too. So, anyway, we'll start with, well, Mike, you kind of went over, you kind of dipped out at Zeo. But, Chris, when did you sort of lose interest in Power Rangers in general?
You know, looking back, I've dipped in and out numerous times over the last, you know, almost 30 years now. When it first came out, I think I really lost interest. Kind of like you when they swapped out, you know, Jason, Zach, and Trini for Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. I was kind of like, what? Why? Like, who's this?
Well, we know
Rocky?
why
Like,
now.
to this day, I still have like a personal grudge against Steven Cardenas, and it's nothing personal at all. But I look at him just like, I don't like you, man. Like, like I don't know why.
Hey, wait, quick story,
No offense to
story.
Steve, if he watches at some point or someone shows him, like I don't know you, but
I got a quick story because I was working the booth for Karen Ashley. I think this is at a WonderCon, and she was like, "Hey, you know, get whatever Power Ranger autographs you want, whatever, you know, because you know I'll tell them, and you know she'll do the hookup, right?" And then I went to Steve Cardenas because I wanted him to sign the Bandai movie figures, you know, and then he seen my wallet, and then he's like, "Oh, you want me to sign that for you too?" And I was like, "No," but he signed it.
That's funny.
I was like, "Man, this is for my love for Jason, not for you, Zero Ranger 3." You know what I mean? This suit belongs to Austin St. John. Do you hear me?
That's funny.
All right,
but
go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
continuing off of that, I think right after Zeo, I stopped watching the show for the most part. Like, you tune in every so often when it popped up, like in space especially. But when they stopped doing the martial arts, like when they were fighting, you know, when they fought putties or whatever, it was cool. Season 3, then suddenly it's like it's not the actors anymore because it's people, stunt people, in, you know, the ninja outfits or whatever. It's like that wasn't as cool to me. And then in Zeo, they don't fight them at all because they're robots. And then I think that's when the realism of the production of the show started like setting in, kind of like, oh, you know, they're actors and we don't want them getting hurt, or they're going to want more money to do their own stunts, and so they're not going to do their stunts anymore. It's kind of like the martial art aspect I felt disappeared, except when they're in the costume. For me, that was kind of lame. So that was really, like, I popped around for In Space because I thought it was cool, like, that they actually, like, a kid's show actually was going to, like, reference the last 6 years of its history into one season. I thought that was cool. But then after that, I was kind of off and on, not really paying attention. When Disney bought it and they brought Tommy back, like everybody else in the world, when they brought Tommy back for Dino Thunder, I was in college. I was like, sure, why not? I won't tell my roommate what I'm watching at 7 o'clock in the morning. Why I have to wake up early on a Saturday. And that's the one I found Deca Ranger for Super Sentai. And then, yeah, it wasn't again until 2011, I think, when Saban got it back from Disney after Disney decided to railroad it into the ground. And then it really only lasted like 4 or 5 years. I was like, okay, this is still kind of really, really, really hard to watch. So now my interest is in an entirely different level. It's not so much like the show and the actors and anything like that. It's more almost like a behind-the-scenes type of thing. I don't know. It's that's a whole other topic we'll get on at some point. But yeah, my interest overall has come and gone, dipped and so forth. It's I'm very aware of everything. Obviously, now as an adult, I've seen everything. I've watched all the shows. I've paid attention. I know what's happened and stuff. But it's kind of magical in the sense that it's a show that you've been able to dip in and out of for like literally the last 30 years. Like at any point you can be like, hey, I wonder, is this show still on? Holy crap, it's still on. You know,
It's
who are
still
these
here.
people? That's still on. Like I've gotten married and had kids. The show's still on. It's like, dang, okay, cool.
It won't go away.
I was in high school. I was in college. I got married. I had kids. I've had like 6 different jobs, a career change. I've moved across the country. Power Rangers is still on TV, or it was, but yeah.
So I have a question. Do your kids enjoy Power Rangers? Like, do you let them watch it? I don't know your kid's age.
So I have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then a almost 2-year-old. The 6-year-old could care less. Like, he'll be like, okay, cool, yeah, like, people fight, and he'll watch like 2 seconds of a fight scene, then he'll go run off and like fight imaginary bad guys in the backyard. That's it. That's his attention span. And then it's suddenly, hey, let's play a video game. My 3-year-old, the way he's learning is more closer, like, though his interests are closer like mine when I was a kid. Like, we watched one clip. I happened to be scrolling on Twitter with him, like, sitting next to me, and it was a Power Ranger clip, and I clicked it, and it was a fight scene with the Power Rangers theme song playing, and for the rest of the day, all he would do is scream from his room at nap time, go Power Rangers, just nonstop for the whole freaking... Corey, if you check my Twitter feed, you'll see I put the video up a couple of days ago, like, it's nap time. He's just like, go Power Rangers!
I didn't go see that.
But he does that with he did that with like the Transformers theme song too. That's just how he is. Like, it's just little nuggets like that stick in his head, and then, you know, then he comes in the office. He's like, "Oh, can I have that one?" I'm like, "Yeah." I actually, ironically enough, the character, the Lightning Collection figure I gave him was Rocky. Zeo. I was like, "Here, yeah, you can take him." So I don't know where it's at. He's doing whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, just go ahead and take it. I got more than one. You can take that one. Do whatever you want to do with it." So to answer your question, my 3-year-old, I don't know. He's still a little bit little. Like, his interests are, you know, last week was Paw Patrol, then it was Transformers, now it's Power Rangers. My 6-year-old doesn't really care. He would rather go outside and play, which is great. That's what we want the kids to do.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
My 1.5-year-old is just, can he eat it? And if the answer is no, then he doesn't care.
Right. That's great.
So, have you ever felt like tokusatsu is not doing it for you? Because that when I stopped messing around with Power Rangers, I dove into tokusatsu, and now it's been a few years now. Like, tokusatsu is just like not doing it for me either, because it's like Japanese cinema in general doesn't really evolve. Like, it advances as in special effects and visuals, but like when it comes to storytelling, that shit has been the same since like 1934. It is the same all the way through.
Copy paste.
So
no,
like,
for me, I was gonna say for tokusatsu as a whole, I feel the genre really like hit its stride like mid 2010s, right? When you had Dino Charge was Power Rangers, right? And you also had the Power Rangers 2017 movie come out, right? I feel that was the height of Power Rangers in the last, honestly, probably 15 years. You had Korea had a really good tokusatsu show that they were doing out. Legend Hero was, which I discovered years later, but it was really popular in Korea. They had a whole toy line and everything for it. You had Kamen Rider was doing great. You had Gaim, Drive. Ghost happened, but, you know, we'll forgive Ghost. But, you know, some people love it. You had Build, X-Aid, you know, really the end of the... oh, God, I forgot my eras already. But the end of that era, really, the Heisei, the second part of Heisei, the end of that era was really, really strong for Kamen Rider. And then Super Sentai, in my opinion, didn't have a strong finish with your Kira Major. I was kind of like, not really interested. And then Zen Kaiser, I never... It just didn't feel like it was right for me, and then... It
was such a left turn. I'm like, what is this?
There's always been this... There's always been this feeling in Japan, or out of Japan, and this is from people who worked on Power Rangers at Bandai at the time, and the idea was Toei and Bandai in Japan can't get past this idea that they have their little kid show, which is Super Sentai, and that's meant for little kids. Then you have the older kid show, which is Kamen Rider. That's obviously meant for the older kids. And then you have whatever's after that. Your not so much your Ultraman, but they know Ultraman has a larger audience of adult fans than Kamen Rider does. But you see that trend, and they do not deviate from that at all. At all. And like you were saying, Corey, it does feel like they took a hard left turn to be like, okay, let's see if we can out preschool Power Rangers here for Super Sentai. And they hard turned it to the left. You know, and then Power Rangers are like, oh yeah, and they turned it hard to the left, and so now it's kind of it's. I haven't watched Kamen Rider in probably 3 years now, I think.
Oh man, I haven't watched.
I'm going to watch Revice because everyone is saying Revice is actually really good. But I did watch parts of 01, and now I have it on Blu-ray subtitled in English officially. So
Yeah,
that's fun.
I messed around 01. That looked pretty cool.
Saber, I was soured on right from the start. For that was behind the scenes stuff that I still don't think I'm allowed to go into. But
so, yeah.
Yeah, that was and that changed everything. And then I look at Dawn Brothers. I can't. I'm sorry for Super Sentai. I can't.
No, just the one positive about Dawn Brothers, the deluxe Megazord. Did you see that thing?
Oh, that thing they revealed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, after having brick Megazords for 45 years, and then they make something that they can pose, I'm like, what the? You're lying to me.
They have a Super Sentai character that's purely CGI, and then they do a hard right turn and drop like the most incredible articulated DX mecha they could ever create for a show that's meant for like 4-year-olds. And I'm like, what? I don't understand what's going on right now.
I don't either. Like it's been at least 5 years since I went hard. I'm like in and out. I'll watch a few episodes here and there, but like just most of the Kamen Rider designs, I don't care what nobody says. They're ugly. All of them are ugly. Kamen Rider in general.
01 wasn't bad. You have to. It was.
I mean, because like my whole the way I'm looking at it, like bugs are ugly or gross. So just in general, a Kamen Rider is ugly. But there are some Kamen Riders that are cool, like Kabuto and Five and 01, regardless of their giant bug eyes. You know what I mean? But some of these, I mean, then also when someone says, you checked out something because you said Revice because they're saying it's good. You got to remember, these are younger people experiencing tokusatsu for the first time because we grew up. We seen the cool. Like when I was watching Kamen Rider, it was a drama aimed at middle-aged women, housewives, like Kabuto. I mean Kuga, all the way through around Hibiki, I guess you can say. It was a drama made for adults. And then they started making that shit for kids when you get the DYNA. I was like, what is this? A train? What is this shit?
Yes, they did take a very hard turn when the merchandise started flowing, and you can see that start. I think with O's is when it really started to pick up. And then you get to, like, obviously Kamen Rider Gaim was a huge merchandise explosion for them. But then you saw them do it, and now the first 30 episodes or 35 episodes is all about introducing new toys into the show. And then they have, like, 15 episodes to finish whatever they want to do story-wise. So they rush all the exposition in the last 15 episodes because the first 30 have to be toys. And it's sometimes it works and it's cool depending on who you have writing it, but a lot of times it's just like you said, it's almost like American production. I shouldn't say American production, but like Power Rangers production, where it's literally a copy paste formula every single year with very, very minimal changes, and you can predict exactly how everything's going to happen.
Yeah. Like I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't. And I just like, as someone who went to film school. And I feel like film in general, it's like we watch each other's movies. But if, like, let's say, but the only time we work together is if a Japanese director comes to America to make a film, or vice versa. There's never, like, a joint project to where, or I guess just to make things simpler, I want to know what Japan can do with America movie money. Like if they had a few $100 million to go hard and make a movie, I want to know what they can do. And you can tell Japanese film productions, they don't have the money like we have in America just to make whatever the fuck we want. So I always just wonder what could they do with like our budget. You get what I mean? And that I just always I wanted to be a filmmaker in Japan, but I heard stories of foreigners going over there to make movies, and they're not nice to they're not nice to like people who aren't Japanese in general. I'm not talking about being black. I'm just saying non-Japanese. Period.
I don't know. Like Corey's like waiting for a transition. I'm like, how do you transition from Japanese people hate people that aren't Japanese. Like, where do you transition from that? Like,
people. I'm just saying that they're not that they don't give people a chance because it's real hard on tradition. You get what I mean? So
yeah, it's a different culture, and
yeah, it's more of
it's a cultural thing. It's very, and you see that in the look at Toei and look at Bandai, and I can speak to the sense that people have been trying to get Kamen Rider brought back to the United States now for 10, 15 years. I think since Dragon Knight was on the air, and that was an unmitigated failure. Just FYI, even the people that made it were like, "Yeah, that flop, man. Hardcore." I thought it was maybe 10 years too early, personally. But like, if it comes out now, it's a hit. If it came out when it came out, no. But the reason it doesn't come out is because there's this belief, like we were this, like, literally that close to getting all the Kamen Rider Saber, like, mainline merchandise released in the U.S. Like, that's how close we were. And the reason it didn't happen is because people high up in Bandai in Japan and Toei were like, this is a show for kids. Why would we want to, if we're not going to put the show out in America for kids and turn it like what they do with Power Rangers, why should we even bother selling the merchandise?
They don't like money. Who cares?
They don't have the knowledge. Their mindset is, this is a kid show. Why would we want to sell it to collectors? Why would we want to sell it to adult fans?
But
it's a kid show.
A whole
it's kids' toys
line in Japan.
But Corey,
right?
it's children's toy. It's a children's toy. Why would you want to sell a children's toy to an adult?
Bandai, that shit
Why would you want
over $100? It's over $100.
But this is the roadblock.
This motherfucker was $300. $300.
Yeah, I heard that they had a 14 karat gold, like gold plated. I don't know the name. Zord.
No, that's just plastic, and it was still $300. It don't have no sense.
Exactly.
But Corey, that's the roadblock. That's the roadblock. Is you're sitting there saying, "No, look what I bought. I spent $300 on this," and they're like, "Well, yeah, but this is for a kid. We made that for you, but this thing over here is for a child." That is the mindset that we have to break free or break through to these businessmen over there, and it's not working. So there you go.
Yeah, but with that Hasbro deal, won't that change everything?
Well, Hasbro has control for the Super Sentai Power Ranger stuff, but they don't have anything for Kamen Rider. So technically, Bandai and Toei, if they wanted to, they could literally bring the show over here. They could make their own English adaptation of it if they wanted to, and no one could stop them. We don't know, as far as I know, we don't know what's going on with Hasbro and Toei. We don't know what their licensing deal is. Only that Hasbro has distribution rights outside of Southeast Asia for anything Super Sentai. That's why if you decide you're going to post a clip of Kira Major on YouTube, you get blocked by Hasbro because they have the distribution rights for all Super Sentai outside of Southeast Asia. No matter when the Super Sentai comes out. Why they don't release subtitled DVDs, you'll have to ask Shout Factory because... Well, don't ask Shout Factory.
DVDs. They need to put that shit on a Blu-ray. You're fucking around with those DVD players. Come on.
Don't
even get started into the whole Blu-ray.
I was gonna say I don't have either of those, just streaming. So.
Oh, I mean, I'm halfway there myself. But thank you, Tessa, for the transition. We're getting into the gossip and all the noise that's been going on in the Power Ranger community. But first, let's do a quick run of this. Should be the shortest. Down in Fury Season 2. Tessa, we're going to start with you. As a new person into Power Rangers, so we can give the fans out there, because fans only see in their fan box. They don't see from your eyes, your perspective. So if you're curious about getting into tokusatsu and Power Rangers, so after me showing you Down in Fury Season 2, how do you feel about diving deeper into the franchise?
Yeah, so I read several reviews on this, and I feel like more people are liking Season 2 versus Season 1. And, okay, so the transition of this character, is it the Void?
Oh, Void Knight?
Void Knight?
Void
I don't know what the
Knight.
fuck this dude's problem is. I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he's doing. He wants his wife back, and like,
So there's a Void Queen, there's a Void Knight, and there's like issues between the two of them. Okay, first off, I have to say like that Void Queen, like I love the costumes, and I know looking at it from a really like far out like eagle point of view, like I really like the costumes of it. Like I think it's cool.
Yeah. No, it's fun fact, that's from a Super Sentai season that will never be brought to the US. It's from Tokusatsu. So since they know they will never adapt that season, they were allowed to go ahead and pilfer out of the Toei archives that costume to use it.
So we literally have stolen everything. Which I see the production standpoint of it being like, oh, okay, yeah, like stolen. But I mean, there's a smart business aspect to it. And I do have to say, like, if it's been 25 plus 30 years, they're obviously doing something right. I know this is a tangent off of Dino's Fury Season 2, but, they're doing something right? Like, we're still talking about it. You guys are still talking about it. You have, do you call them action figures? I don't want to say toys versus...
Collectibles.
Yeah, collectibles. You have those things. So, I mean... It appealed to you in some certain way, but yeah, like I love that. I just love the costume. So I'll give it a chance. I do feel a little weird watching something like this as an adult because I'd rather watch like Moon Knight. Like Moon Knight, yeah, I'm like right there. Like that's what's up. But yeah, no, I'll give it a chance.
Let me ask you something, Tessa, since you are so brand new to observing it, you're walking into this with a very fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Especially as someone who is enjoying, like, the Marvel shows and stuff like that.
Love it.
When you see Power Rangers, do you feel that as an intellectual property and IP that has the potential to make that jump from, wow, I feel weird watching this, to actual entertainment for young adults and adults? Can this brand make that leap? Is the question, I guess.
I think anything's possible, right? Like anything's totally possible, and you guys have joked about this copy paste, formula. Like if they can break out of that, and I think good acting will really transform like where they can go with it, and I do think it's a lot of writing, because with like these Marvel shows, like they're really hardcore into the writing, right? Like you see the character arcs, you see the conflicts, the dynamics. It's not just about this.
Do you think it's because? I'm sorry to like hijack the whole thing.
No,
do you
please.
think? Well, it's so rare to find someone who's like had very little exposure to it. So it's like, do you feel it's a stigma, right? Like it's a stigma when people hear Power Rangers, you think, oh, that's a kid's show. I grew up in the 90s and the 80s. I remember when X-Men was a stigma. I remember when Thor and Iron Man, those are stigmas. Like, you got made fun of if you were reading those comic books because those are for nerds and for kids. Now they're like, oh, yeah, you see people that obviously have no idea what me and Corey went through as kids, like getting picked on for liking that kind of stuff.
Right.
I forgot my point I was going here. But is that stigma something, like, I'm really curious, like, if we feel that stigma can be beaten in, do you think maybe... Is it maybe just Power Rangers doesn't take itself seriously enough? Because that's the one thing I do see DC and Marvel doing, is they take themselves incredibly serious.
Yes.
But Power Rangers seems to, even in the shows it does do, even in the 2017 movie, it makes fun of itself almost to a bad point.
Right. Well, and I think that there's a way to, this making fun, this levity of it. Like Deadpool does that, right? But for a fact Deadpool is not a children's movie. And so I think there's that balance between taking it seriously and making fun of, which I do think that Power Rangers they have not graduated. Like, they got stuck on the teenagers. Like, what if they, like with the Scream movies, they did this, like, legacy aspect. Like, what if you brought back the old or original cast, and then you're like, oh, like, the teenagers have, like Dr. Ooze or whatever, like he mind controlled them, and, like now they can't function, so now the legacies have to come back. Like, you would grab the entire demographic, from children to, you know, so I do think that there's a possibility. I obviously, you know, really don't know because I'm, again, super new to this, but I think there's a cool way that you could do that. But I do think that they really are. I think it's on the business side. Who's ever pulling the strings, they're like, no, for sure it's kids. For sure it's kids. You know, and I think it could be an easy switch to make that decision. No, we're going to do adults now. Like, you know, like geared towards adults, not do adults. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, the only time, yes, that was, I love all of that. So thank you.
Yeah, of
course. Continue on your point about the legacy aspect. We only basically got that in the comic books, sort of, kind of. But, I feel like even the comic books aren't getting it right, because I feel like the Power Ranger experts in Hasbro and at Boom Studios aren't as experts as we are. Because it's just like, one thing that bothered me in the Boom comics is just that, like, oh, Adam is afraid of spiders. They're like, nah, that was Zack's thing. You know, it's always
so
tidbits, you know.
I feel so with the Boom Studio stuff. I feel like they took when Kyle left, and because Kyle Higgins left after he wrote Shattered Grid, and Ryan Parrott was doing Go-Go, and then they brought in another writer for Beyond the Grid, and originally Kyle was supposed to come back, and then he was like, no, I'm not going to come back after all. Which kind of threw a kink into things. Eventually, Ryan, of course, as you know, took over both books. And I love Ryan Parrott. I think he's an amazing human being, someone I admire very deeply. I personally am not a huge fan of I thought the Omega Rangers were a cool concept. I don't think that they're a great ongoing concept. I thought they were a fun, flashy gimmick. Hey, let's feature them we'll do 12 issues, get them in there, but then stop. So now instead you have half of your exposition happening with a made-up team of Power Rangers going off into space, and they're battling against made-up villains. Even though we have a whole universe of Power Rangers lore to explore, we're making up new villains, new monsters, new bad guys, and then we're cherry-picking what we want to use, and then we're not following the continuity that was set in place with the show like the comic did originally when it first came out. It was kind of like mirroring the continuity of the show, and then it just took a left turn after Shattered Grid. Now it's literally its entirely own different universe now, where before you could actually say, like, hey, maybe this issue maybe this whole storyline fit between episodes this and this in the background, we just didn't see it.
It does.
Which I thought was really
have
cool.
Notes of that.
Yeah, now it doesn't. And now I'm a little excited to see what Matt Groom is going to bring to it, because one of the reasons Kyle was able to keep everything together when he wrote Shattered Grid and did this huge expose featuring hundreds of different characters was because of Michael, I'm going to call him Michael B, the Ranger Danger guys, Michael B and then Matt Groom. Yeah. They helped him behind the scenes as far as like keeping a spreadsheet of who he was using, who did what. Hey, no, you can't do this. He would double check, like, hey, did this character ever do this? You know, and they could come back and reference, like, yeah, that character did that, or hey, this character actually one time said this, so let's go ahead and play that. The whole Morphin Masters came from their remembering that someone had mentioned Morphin Masters in a throwaway line in an episode back in like episode 8 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's the whole reason that exists. Matt now is writing Mighty Morphin, Matt Groom, of that Ranger Danger duo. So I have a lot of faith that Matt will make a really fun story, and now they're not bound to following the continuity of the show. They can actually kind of rewrite the history a little bit.
That's what they should have done from the beginning.
It's going to sound like he's going to make a Rocky an interesting character, which would be the first ever for him. And, you know, and I like seeing the Omega Rangers, but at the same time, it's like, I guess I'm just not into a space opera. Like, I want to explore what we already know. I want to, you know, go to space. I mean, granted, spoiler, you know, if you look at the previews, they do meet Andros, who is a Power Ranger, so he does morph. He has as a morpher and stuff like that. So the Omega Rangers are teaming up with the In-Space Red Ranger going forward. So that could be interesting. That could be fun. But I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to stay in touch with the comics. It's just It's very again. It's becoming copy paste, right? You build up this huge thing, and then you create a new Megazord, some sort of new Megazord. There's always a new Megazord. You guys both came back at the same time. It was planned. That had to be planned. Like, it was boom, boom.
You
but
sure did not
it's the same
place?
formula. Seriously.
But, just
I didn't want to
wrap up. Just to wrap up, Dawn of Fury season 2. I don't really have nothing to say about it. I don't hate it. I don't necessarily like it.
I have one thing to say on it.
It's just there, you know.
If you remove the character Izzy, played by Tessa Rowe, if you remove the character Izzy from the show, it is no different than Beast Morphers. It is no different than any of the other series that everyone goes, man, this feels so boring. Literally, the only thing this show is offering that's any different is the characterization given to the character Izzy, right, being LGBTQ+. That is the only... If you take her and the entire story of her out of this show, it's a completely forgettable, throwaway, boring season, just like any other season.
I thought you was going to talk trash about Izzy. I thought, don't you talk trash about my girl.
No, she is... That is the only endearing quality, in my opinion, of this show.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people put their rose-tinted glasses on when they watch it because they go, oh, Dino Fury is so great. No, Izzy's great, and everything they're doing with her character is great, but the show itself is a big snooze fest, in my opinion. My kids can't stand it. They don't want to watch it. They would rather just turn it off. I don't want to watch it, and that's where we're at. And obviously, kids didn't want to watch it either because now it's on Netflix, not on Nickelodeon.
Well, can I
I
ask
still
one
haven't gotten
question?
through the first half of it. Go
I
ahead.
didn't even watch season 2.
Do you guys think if it was an animated series, because I'm assuming Power Rangers was never animated, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Yes.
if it was animated, do you think that, they'd grab kids back in? Because you could still sell the toys, have all that.
I think there's definitely an audience for something animated, especially maybe at the demographic they're targeting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to what made Power Rangers so popular in the first place, it was that live-action martial arts, which they've gone completely away from. Like, they'll still have maybe some stuff here, but it's literally less than a minute worth of martial arts,
Right.
and then it's all special effects, everything. Even the explosions that used to be actual, like, pyrotechnics is now computer-generated explosions. It's so overly produced. It's just, it's literally shot and then literally put into a room where people sit there and edit all the different color effects, the explosions, all that stuff, and that doesn't feel legitimate to me. And I think kids aren't stupid, right? Like, my kids aren't stupid. They're pretty smart for kids. They see through that. Whereas if you show them the old stuff, they're like, oh, cool.
When I was younger.
Right. Well, that's why I always think, what's it called? Practical effects, like, on a set are better than, like, special effects always,
people,
right?
feels
people
like
shit on
they're...
practical effects far too often, and it's just like, you can use them both at the same time, you know that, right?
Right.
It really feels like that they're trying to turn... Power Rangers used to be a live-action show. Now it kind of feels like they're trying to make a live-action cartoon. With how overly produced it is and how much, like, after production, post-production goes into this
that's
stuff.
basically what Super Sentai is.
So, yes, that's what Super Sentai is now, but you'll still watch actual explosions happen. They'll actually have pyrotechnics. I don't think they've used a single actual real explosion in the episodes of Dino Fury that I've watched. It's all been digitally added afterwards.
And
it's little things like that bother me personally.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. Like you said, kids are not stupid, and I think that they really can see through that. Like, we don't give them enough credit, and if they're not sensing that, sincerity.
I have to share one story for Tessa.
The authenticity.
Since Tessa's a new fan, I have to share one experience that just soured me. Ninja Steel. I forgot all about Ninja Steel when I was doing my retrospective, going back over past seasons, because that's how much Ninja Steel was horrible. Give me an idea of some of the writing that people complain about, and I'm not going to go for the obvious one here with the side comic characters. I'm going to go with the fact that there was an episode where the Red Ranger was having issues cheating or not, cheating on math, right? And so they're explaining the math problem, and they're literally using, like, the math problems were like 100,000 plus 250,000. He's like, oh, I'm just going to use my calculator and figure that out. It's like, you're supposed to be in high school. Like, it's just this idea that they're writing down. Like, they're taking...
Yes.
Like, my kids know what's an adult thing and what's a kid thing, right? It doesn't matter if it's a math problem or if it's, that's a mom and dad show. I'm not going to watch that. So when you put these characters that are supposed to be 17, 18 years old into a situation where they're learning something that a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old would learn. I get why they did it, right? Because, it'll relate to the kids. But now that character seems less genuine, and that situation seems less genuine. It seems more fabricated and more like a production than an actual, hey, this could be real, or imagine if this is real. So
Well, I think that's your answer to the stigma question. Like, this is why there's that stigma, that it's only for kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got two
ever
questions
since
on that.
real quick, ever since
Michael, you can't talk.
Well, I'm sorry, it's not even.
Kind of feel like I did a reader now.
Ever since the Neo Saban era, I felt like they just been writing down, because like Saban, the original Saban era, we grew up with the show, and then when Disney bought it, it was just basically a continuation of that. It was just different, and then Saban got it back, and it was just like, "Hello, kids," and it was just that kind of shit, you know. Go ahead.
I need a clip of just that. I want to use that.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Well, first, before I ask my two questions, just hearing the conversation when I went to the door real quick, I should have been here for the comic book conversation, because I'm more of a comic person. But that's a different topic, I guess.
Well, yeah, we'll get back. We're going to have to do a whole nother slide mission just on the comments, because I got so much to say about this shit.
I mean, because I can actually touch real quick. I'm not going to do it right now, but like after I say these two questions. So for the segment you're talking about, two questions was Power Rangers owned by Disney at that time with the dumb kid that didn't understand basic math?
that was Saban Brands. That was right before Hasbro.
Okay. Was it right after Disney?
No.
No? Okay. So
No.
I was trying to help them out, but never mind.
It was in the it was in the beginning phases of the transition from, like, by the time, well, maybe not. By the time that was written, no. But by the time it aired, I think it would be, they were already in the talks of getting the brand over to Hasbro. So that was produced before Hasbro had any input on the brand.
Okay. Was the character supposed to be a dumb jock?
He was an alien-ish.
No, I mean, wasn't he was raised in space.
He was a kid, and then he got raised in space by aliens and then came back to Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of seeing why he was...
So he should be
I
I
super
mean, he
smart.
would have problems with math if he didn't go to school, but he's in space dealing with alien shit.
He's
so
supposed to be
should.
like a senior in high school, because they're also building a car in one of their classes. So I don't...
Was he a actual... Like, so... Because to me it sounds like if he was an alien and then he got brought to Earth, for him that might have been kindergarten. Because we look at it as he's a senior, but if he hadn't gone to school his whole life, isn't he technically not a senior? He just got put up there?
Well, that makes sense for you and me. But
That's
if
what
I go ask my 6-year-old, he's gonna just look at me kind of weird and walk away. And I think, like, yeah, I can totally see where the dots connect on that, sure. But
yeah,
I think I don't know if that logic was something that kids would necessarily try to put that together. Like, oh, because we're making that distinction now, but at the time they don't really. You know, his dad got kidnapped, or his dad disappeared, and then his brother got kidnapped, and he got sucked up and became a janitor for an alien. Yeah, and then he came back to Earth after he got freed, and is now going to school and making friends with his Power Ranger friends. I don't.
Ninja Steel was the only good thing. The only good thing about Ninja Steel was that chainsaw sword and Christiana. That was it. I didn't care too much about anything else.
kind of sounds like the only good thing was that it got canceled.
Oh.
I mean, it did Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel, and then it was gone. It did its duty. All right.
Kind of sound
So
like it
speaking
going.
of duty, Hasbro Fan First Tuesday. I was okay with it because my expectations of Power Rangers stay low. So I'm like, cool, we got some new stuff. But people just hype themselves up every time, and they disappoint themselves. Like, I knew a Power Sword was coming. I was like, let me see it, let me see it, let me see my shit, you know? That's Jason's main weapon. I got what I wanted. It looks a little weird, but it grew on me. I like all the extra details on it, and, you know, I'm down for it.
That price, though.
I don't care. It's Jason's sword. I missed out on the legacy one.
How much is it? How much is it?
Now keep in mind, it's a translucent plastic sword. 240, is that right? 240.
It's not. It's
Can you get it?
I have the dragon dagger. And if you look at the green, it looks solid. It looks
so
solid.
This one was shown in the Toys That Made Us. So do you have the American version or the Japanese version? So flick the tip of it.
I have all three. See, that's
Okay.
the Bandai one. This
Okay,
is
I was gonna
The
say-
Japan one, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have that
because
too.
they really like made a point to say like the kids in in America needed the soft foam one, but the kids in Japan were okay having the metallic one.
You gotta love those safety standards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, because they were saying like American kids are not as bright.
No,
as Japanese.
You're not.
Oh, I mean, okay. I'm not
Parents.
trying to offend anyone's kids, but there is a difference between kids here and kids over there.
No, nothing kids. No, we're stupid.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hey,
I'm trying to
We're the
solve
reason-
problems.
Are you calling my kids stupid?
We are the reason you have safety stickers on like vending machines, not to climb them and push them and try to carry them like this.
Right.
Yeah. Wait. So this $250 sword, can you hit it?
That's what I want to know, how durable it is. I just want to know how hard can you clash something, because this is pretty hard.
I take issue if
You
you
know?
can't hit that, because a lightsaber that's 250 or 200 plus,
I want to battle a
make contact.
lightsaber with my power sword.
I mean, you'll lose, but still,
I'm better.
It's
Wow, this is fascinating to me. Y'all, you actually use these collectibles. They're not
Yeah.
just for show.
I mean, lightsabers,
No.
yes.
Lightsabers, there's the whole competitions. I've been wanting to get into it, like lightsaber competition. But because I've taught myself how to use a sword a little bit, and I see how these guys be like doing all this shit. I'm just like, boom. You know what I mean? Like Kendo, kind of like Kendo. I'm just watching them troll, but you get points for trolling. But I'm gonna just boom, get ya. But anyway, back to Fan First Tuesday. Then we built the rest of the Ninja Rangers. I'm very particular on calling them Ninja Rangers because they're called Ninja Rangers from the season 3, as opposed to the one time they were called Ninjetti Rangers movie. You know?
All I had to do is just continue the story. Continuity.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just that nigga. I'm sorry. But the ninja, we got Jason, Kimberly, not Jason, Rocky, Kimberly, Aisha, and Ninja Rangers. And we got the power sword, and they showed the sword ascension.
Not Kimberly.
Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine. Not what was there? Catherine Hillard. I almost said her real name, Sutherland. But the Zord Ascension Project Dragon Zord, which combines with the Zap Megazord. So I don't know. I don't understand the beef people are having. I was like, cool, we got shit. I don't understand.
I think it's a combination of things. I think number one, there was that tweet that they put out the day before. It's like, hey, you've been asking for it and all this other stuff, and it's coming, so you know you're going to be watching. Like, the official account was like, you've wanted it, it's here it comes. You take that coupled with the fact that it's like, Transformers got literally like 56 minutes
I didn't mind it.
of content, and it was just, like Transformers got like almost a whole hour, and they're like, stay tuned for Power Rangers. And then Power Rangers literally was done in 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you also take into effect that you have the Lightning Collection figures, which even though we pretty much know what's coming, more or less, when it comes to the general release waves, the wave that they previewed 6 months ago is out now. Like, you can go to the store and buy it. So they haven't even previewed or anything than a wave that's going to be after that, which in theory should be out in about 3 months from now. We don't know what that's going to be, officially. So I think there's some frustration with that. Like, at least, show that. Instead, you'll get random product drops. Like, it'll be like a Thursday. It'll be like, surprise, go pre-order these GameStop exclusive figures that we didn't, do anything about. Or like the Silver Ranger for Walgreens. They still haven't officially announced that figure yet. even though it's been sold out, you can't find it. And I think that's. I was gonna say, I think that's what you see the frustration stem from is people want to see more. Like, I don't want. These are supposed to be fan first live streams, right? So you're appealing to a very specific demographic. You're appealing to that adult collectible or collector, like high dollar, like I'm willing to throw some money out there for some stuff demographic. So to feature a Party City pinata for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, maybe I get it, right? I get it. Party City's paying you some money. I get it, but still, like, I don't know if that is the best use of time. Like, the Zap Dragon Sword was cool. I have a lot of questions about it that they didn't answer, and then we have no follow-up on some of it. But aside from that, I mean, we got the Power Sword, which we knew was coming, and then that was it. It was a pinata, a Dragon Sword with no information, and the sword. That was it. And that was the first thing in 6 months. So I think I understand some people's frustration. I don't understand the let's write an open letter to Hasbro and tell them why they suck part of it. I don't get that. It's just toys. I understand frustration. I don't understand this, like, we need to go to change.org, write our petition right now, and have Hasbro redo the Fan First Tuesday for Power Rangers and actually put a little bit of effort into it. Like, what? No, it's just toys. Like, I get it. Like, I'd be more concerned about why they didn't reveal anything else. That's my concern. Why didn't you reveal anything else? Are you telling me you don't have anything in the next 3 months coming out that I need to be prepared for? Like, that's my conspiracy theory overdrive. When Transformers is like, hey, here's the product line for like the next 18 months, kids, have fun, woo, give us your money, and then Power Rangers is like, here's like one thing. Peace. You know, I'm like, okay, well, why is there only one thing? Why isn't there more things coming? Like, what's going on? Are we not as successful as we need to be? Like, what's happening? Like, what's happening after Dino Fury Season 2? When is the rest of Season 2 coming out? What about the Dino Fury toys that are sitting on the shelf behind you that you've never actually officially talked about, but you're showing them on the shelf behind you? Like, it's those things. So I think it's a combination of a question of who decided to come up with that, what was the marketing behind it, but then you have to get into legalities of, is there a reason why you didn't talk about it?
Yeah, it's just like the tweet that you posted about the job opening, that you needed the masters in business. And I'm like, the person who's doing marketing now ain't doing such a great job.
Well, I mean, you got, like, literally, I mean, it's you had literally, like, just Power Ranger fans, like you and me, Corey, be like, oh, I can run the Power Rangers, I'm going to apply. It's like, you look really stupid when you do that. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded corporation and a fan is applying for, like, one of the highest level positions in my company, like, you don't even get past the recruiting standpoint. And if your name comes up too much, like, then they start looking for your name to make sure that you're not involved in anything, because you're just a problem at that point. Like, they make problems go away. They don't work with people, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've worked for Hasbro in the past. Granted, it was local. Was doing their RMO, their retail merchandise operation. So, like, my job would be to go into stores, convince retailers to give me end cap space, reset their toy aisles, get the Hasbro products out, make sure the new products are out, make sure there's any issues, take care of any returns that need to get sent back, whatever. Their big thing was they didn't want to hire collectors and, like, super fans. So we told a little lie to get me on the team, and then I got on the team, and that was cool, right? Like, I didn't abuse my position, but I mean, yeah, like, at the end of the day, when the Transformers movie was promotions had to be taken down, we had these huge cardboard stands. Yeah, maybe a couple of them went home with me. I don't know. I had to get rid of them, so I was like, I'll just put them in my car.
Yeah, you
see,
took them to the
that's
trash,
curious.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that makes me really curious, though. Why wouldn't you want someone who's extremely knowledgeable about what you're selling? And like,
you have to run the risk of, when it comes to, well, I mean, for the job I did, like, obviously if they hire collectors and they have new toys, the collectors will buy the new toys first, throw them on eBay, and that, I mean, that's a problem they ran into. On the RMO side, when you go into, and the RMO job still exists, you can actually go look for RMO jobs in your area if you want to. The per diem is really good, actually, but, like, I miss doing that job. It was fun. But when it comes to the actual Hasbro proper, like, they don't want... Because here's the thing, like, if they hire Corey, and Corey's answer is, you know, I can fix Power Rangers, we need to focus more on Mystic Force. No, that's probably not going to be the answer that fixes Power Rangers, but that's what's going to happen if you hire a superfan. You do need to hire somebody with knowledge, but they're looking for someone who is a proven business leader, right? And that's where the masters in business comes in. A proven business leader who has a drive and ambition, who can really transform a property and change the direction of where it's going. And hey, if you just happen to also be someone who grew up watching Power Rangers and a fan of Power Rangers when you were a kid, man, you're going to have some extra loyalty into that, because you're going to be like, yeah, that was really cool. What can I do? They're not looking for me and my wall of crap behind me to go apply so I can be like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do day 1 and day 2. Like, no. Maybe I got some good ideas, sure. Maybe I can offer a little bit of insight, but there's a whole different role for that. That's not the brand market global leader for the brand. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where people don't get it. And I don't know. It's just, it's frustrating that people feel like, I get it. Take your shot. Take your shot. Please, by all means, take your shot. But at the same time, you're not the savior of the brand. None of us are. None of us are going to be. And it's about learning or not learning. That's not the right way. Like, it's going to sound really passive aggressive. It's going to sound really passive aggressive to say know your place.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, maybe stay in your lane is the best way to put it. Like, you know, I'm a fan and maybe at best an influencer from time to time for the brand. At best, right? That doesn't give me the right or the ability or the knowledge to try to decipher where the brand should go. It's my job to bring awareness to the brand and promote the brand, and that's what I've done, you know, for at least a decade now, I think. Pretty hardcore.
Remember when Bandai was doing that? They did the Legacy, whatever they had. You know, they had Toku Nation and it's Black Nerd and a handful of other people. They were kind of like ambassadors.
Saban Brands Power Force, yes.
Yes, the Power Force.
Yes.
Like, why doesn't
that was
Hasbro,
fun, man. That was...
Hasbro needs to do something like that. So, I mean...
So I can tell you what happened with that if you really want to know what happened with that.
Yes, please.
Because I am Toku Nation, so I was the person representing for Toku Nation. So yes, I got to go to invited to a special Power Force only breakfast, you know, with Haim Saban and Ellie Deckel and got to sit there and oh yeah, watch out, everyone move out of my way, right? I'm VIP. No, what happened is Saban Brands bought the brand back from Disney in 2010 or 2011 or what have you. My timeline might be a year off, but the show at that point had been tanked, right? Like, Disney was airing it at like 4 o'clock in the morning on a service you had to pay like $30 a month just to get that channel for. So no one was watching it. The brand was pretty much dead. The toy sales were in the water. What happens is Ellie Deckel was the president of Saban Brands, right? Ham Saban's the CEO, and Ellie Deckel's the president. And Ellie Deckel made it his personal goal, his personal project, to create a grassroots movement within the hardcore Power Rangers fan community, because he knew, 1, free marketing, right? 2, it's a good way to grow that grassroots to get the hardcore fans all involved in it, because the more you start doing that, the more conversation is, the more people come back to it, like, oh yeah, Power Rangers, oh cool, they're back, hey, it's owned by Saban again, hey, you have the theme song, right? It's basically a remix of the original theme song, it sounds cool. You do all those things, you invest in it, and the only thing you have to do is give them a little bit of stuff, and they go crazy, right? Hey, you guys want to help write the Trivial Pursuit questions? And everyone's like, oh, you know. It worked, and it got everybody involved, and everybody was sharing episode previews. Remember those days? Everybody was sharing, you know, here's an episode preview for Super Samurai, here's an episode preview for Megaforce. You know, every time something Power Rangers sneezed, 26 websites were reporting on it, because we were all part of the Power Force, blah, 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 blah. Well, at some point that Ellie Deckel left the brand, and that got shoved into marketing, but it became too problematic, because you had 26 people now competing against each other at the same time. So they'd say, hey, don't post this till 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you'd have 15 people post it between 9:51 and 9:59, you know, and then everybody else at 10 o'clock, because I had to be first, right? Because I'm going to get the clicks first. Because it's not about getting the news out, it's about being first, because if you're not first, you're last. So you had that issue going on. And then it just became easier to find 1 or 2 dedicated people to focus all your stuff on, and they did. And that's where you had like Power Rangers now with Michael, good friend of mine. Doesn't do anything with the brand anymore. He actually works for Disney now, but they went with him as their kind of primary person to be that communication gap to the fan collective, so to speak, because or whatever. Why would they go back to that? They won't. I mean, they use a PR firm called Rogers & Cohen to do all of their marketing stuff, so Hasbro doesn't actually speak to anyone directly. Now, some people like myself, like I have people I know that have been in Hasbro for years, right? I mean, I was a Transformers fan for a very long time. There's people that were there when I was a fan of Transformers, and more dedicated to it, that are still there to this day. So I have plenty of people I can always reach out to and ask a question. But for the most part, if I need to ask someone on the Power Rangers team something, I need to go to Rogers and Cohen first and ask them if they can go ahead and reach out to the Hasbro team, and then they do that. And it's just to keep Hasbro from talking. And that started when Hasbro decided they wanted to be an entertainment company and not just a toy company. So back after the 2007 Transformers movie where they made $1 billion, and they were like, holy crap, that's a lot of money we can make if we keep doing this. And that's why they bought E1, and that's why they're doing all this other stuff, is because they're trying to turn themselves into an entertainment company. So, to answer everyone's question, why don't they do that now? They don't feel like they have to. They have a company they've hired to talk to all of us and to give us stuff, and we have to basically work with that company to try to get something started. At the end of the day, I'm not IGN. None of us are IGN. None of us are Daily Radar, any of the other weird places they send stuff to. Heck yeah! Well, no, that's the dream, right? Because here's the thing: the only thing that stops you from being them is the fact that you don't have a corporate backing. Is the only thing. You know, like, you have the ability to say whatever the hell you want. You can say, "Hey, Power Rangers," like, what the fuck's wrong with you right now? But IGN just goes, "Watch Power Rangers on Netflix. Season 2 airing now." There's a difference. People are going to go to you because they're going to want to hear what you have to say because they know you're going to give them the real deal versus going to IGN where it's just going to be, here's the news that they told us to say because I get paid to do that, But yeah, that's it in a very ranty, raving nutshell.
Yeah,
sorry.
I guess the drama it wasn't as bad as I thought. It's all logical and reasonable stuff. It's reason why people were upset, and I get why. It's all reasonable. It's not unreasonable like it is sometimes. So, final thoughts on today's conversation, starting with Mr. Antonio.
I don't know. I don't really have much to add now.
We'll kick you out of the conversation next. Miss Tessa, how was your first deep dive into Power Rangers and tokusatsu? How was it for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, getting into a new world and learning is super fun. In my research I did yesterday, I did want to pose one question, and apologies if this is overdone, reused, but something I learned yesterday is there's a Power Rangers curse. Is this true? Is this not true? You guys. So what I've heard is there's a lot of cast members who die prematurely, who have performed on the Power Rangers cast throughout the years. So is this a real thing? I mean,
there are cast members who died, but
I would say maybe their careers, but not necessarily themselves.
Okay.
It might be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only been a very small handful of actors who have passed away prematurely, like the original Yellow Ranger, Twee, she passed away, obviously way too young.
Yes.
But aside from that, I don't think there's. I'm trying to think. I mean, we've had some older individuals involved in the show that have passed away, like the actress who played Udana.
Zord,
Pua,
I believe.
Pua.
Yeah, Pua. Mm-hmm.
Pua.
I mean, that was
some shady shit though. But,
that was some mental health issues there, unfortunately.
Yeah, there was one Power Ranger who went to jail for manslaughter.
My favorite.
Yeah.
I know. I don't mean to bring all these bad things. This is news
Cole
to me.
Evans,
So.
Red Wild Force Ranger.
When you do have over 200 actors playing characters, though, you're going to have, even if 10 of them end up either passing away or going to jail.
Right.
I don't know if we can call that a curse.
Okay.
But I mean, I would stand by my comment that their careers are dead. Sure. Very, very seldomly are these people making the jump from Power Rangers to stable, happy careers. I mean,
Amy Jo?
the guy played Jaden in Samurai. Where is he? Where is he at? What's Alex Hartman doing? Like, he was supposed to be on Earth. Where'd he go? What's he doing? Where'd he go?
I mean, Millie High was working for Saban. That's
I mean, it's things like that. Like, where are these? And you'll have actors tell you, like, there's some actors who've come out and said, like, hey, being on the show is the worst decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Which is funny because if you go to Japan, like, it's the opposite. They take these as like springboarding into celebrity status, and there are a number of incredibly successful actors that were in Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, and they look back fondly on their time, and it's a huge deal when they come back. Like it's huge. Like the movies blow up huge when they come back for a cameo or something.
Jaden,
Kamen Rider,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I just like the actor for Kamen Rider Forze. I forget his name. He was in that live action anime movie that they actually came out here too. Subtitled.
I don't remember,
I'll have to go back.
To mirror Jaden's actor, in Shinkenger. I don't remember the actor's name, but the Japanese actor who played Jaden's counterpart in Power Rangers Samurai, he got super famous after he played the Red Ranger in Shinkenger. And he was everywhere. He was just the leading man in everything. I'll put a link to his name in the description.
And that's the difference between our Hollywood and their acting agencies out in Japan. I mean,
I feel like that's a way to fix the franchise, right? Why? Like you did this, like that.
The only exception I would say would be the crew from RPM. I think almost all of them, except for Milo, have gone on to do incredible things. And then the 2017 movie. All those actors have gone on to do. I mean, look at
all of them.
Literally every single one of them has gone on to do something incredible in their career. Especially the guy that played Jason. I forget his name.
Dacre Montgomery.
Stranger.
I mean, they were all kind of already known. I knew all of them before the movie came out. I wouldn't say it catapulted. Yeah,
they were all doing something, but they weren't household names like they became in projects after Power Rangers. I mean, Power Rangers didn't elevate them by any means, but
it didn't.
But afterwards, no, I would never. No, Power Rangers. Trust me, I'm sure they all look back and go, ooh. But
that guy was in Stranger Things. Yeah.
Wasn't Homegirl Jasmine first, and then dude was Billy in Stranger Things? I feel like the Blue Ranger was the only one that didn't really do anything until The Harder They Fall.
Oh yeah, she was Jasmine. You're right.
But she was Jasmine after.
After? Okay.
Yes.
So it's the whole boosting. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
After
movies
Power
where
Rangers, she
it's
blew up. She became that Disney princess, and then
she turned around after Charlie's Angels.
Oh, yeah, Charlie.
She's like, I got a career, Charlie's Angels. Never mind.
Don't get me started on that movie.
Okay, all right. Thanks everyone for coming through. This has been DYNA Side Mission 2. This is a pretty fun conversation. We'll have to do it again. Comic books. I'm gonna make the next side mission Ranger comic books. We're gonna just talk for an hour about that shit. So I'm trying to. Oh yeah. So Chris, we usually do a DYNA Power Up as our outro. So I don't know if you ever watched the show. I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully you did. Subscribe, like.
I don't watch anything. Sorry, I'm very.
Don't call him out.
Like it's no. I mean, I don't even. I like truth be told, like I haven't watched a single Disney Plus Marvel show yet. Like I don't have time.
You got kids. Yeah, you have
I work
kids.
50 plus hours of work with 3 kids. Like this is the most alone time I've had in the last 2 weeks right now. Like, by all means, keep talking because I get to stay in this room longer by myself. It's incredible.
Well, I will keep talking, but I only can record for free for 2 hours, and we're already 174. So that has been the DYNA. That's Mike, Chris, and I'm Tori. So on 3, DYNA Power Up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. DYNA
Power Up.
You know, because of the delay, it was like what?
DYNA Power Up. Do my own individual audio.